also hope that someone can show or present a little bit on risk management in your university to identify vulnerabilities and threats and reducing risk to an acceptable level. Also, probably, if you remember last time we met in Jakarta, we talked about globalization practices and in strategies. I know that next a few months we will talk about cloud computing. But last time in Jakarta, I think someone was talking about Google Mail and other third-party outsourcing practices in your university. Probably someone could also share about that, the capacity and growth planning and service improvement. And also, how do you conduct user satisfaction evaluation? And also probably some quality management issues, probably some standards in ISO, CMM, and also performance optimization being conducted in your university, and your IT organizational structures. Also, if there is segregation of duties within information system in your university. There are many areas of concern, I'm sure, but probably we will talk about that on our presentation and our discussion. Okay, I would like to check whether Dr. Don Harris is already there. Don? Don?
Sorry, this is the University of Oregon ITC. We're still waiting for Don Harris.
Okay, no problem. We'll go to Malaya now. Malaya, could you start doing the presentation, please?
Just to give an overview of our university in Malaya, we have 27,000 plus students with 6,000 plus staffs. We have one main campus in Kuala Lumpur, and we have 3 other smaller campuses. In terms of the ICT services, most of the services are centrally managed. So we have an IT center that's responsible for the IT infrastructure, for all the campuses, as well as the wireless services for the campuses, the database and the servers, some of the key applications, the campus IT, security, and also in terms of the procurement, some of the major ICT hardware and software procurement is done centrally. So a bulk of the core ICT services are done by the IT center, which is done centrally. We do have some of the services distributed to the, we call it the faculties or the centers. So the faculties and centers also can do their own procurement, in terms of especially the research labs, or computing labs that they need. So these are very specialized ICT equipment that they need. It's done by the faculties and centers, as well as we also have an IT officer located at each centers. These ICT officers will provide the first level troubleshooting at the centers, and they also do some basic maintenance, and they form the bridge between the center, the IT center, as well as the faculties and other departments. So as you can see, in University of Malaya, a bulk of the core services are provided by the IT center, and some of the other services are taken care by the faculties and the departments. As for the IT structure or IT organization, we have the highest level, we have the ICT Council, which is chaired by the Deputy Vice Chancellor and also the CIO. And below that we have the ICT Technical Committee, which is chaired by the Director of IT Center. And below that we have the ICT User Committee. This is the representative from various faculties and so on. We have a committee to get feedback and so on. And below that we have all the IT units, which is located at the faculties and departments. So that's basically the ICT organization structure of University of Malaya. On the, I will not touch the infrastructure, the network and the wireless services. As for the university, we also do most of the application in-house. A lot of the student information and staff information system is done in-house. So we have a team for that, and the application architecture is shown on the slide. It's quite complex, it's quite big, and so I will leave the details to later discussion. Moving on, some of the challenges that we face in running the IT services. Of course, we have to ensure high availability of all of the services, including the network, the servers, and the applications. Generally, we do attain about more than 98% in most of the services. And we also have to look into the support at various levels. This university is very huge, very big, so the need, the demand for good services is also high. As for in-house application development, there is a lot of challenge as well, because the nature in which the university is changing rapidly. Our university is growing rapidly, and there are more and more things that need to be computerized and moving towards paperless environment. So therefore, a lot of these applications need to be computerized. So there's a big push for to move towards to computerize most of the processes. We also involved in content development for e-learning. So some of the university contents, the lecturers will prepare the storyboard and pass it to the IT center for development of the multimedia materials. And also in terms of the IT staffs, the skill level, especially in the open source, high-level application development, etc. So we need to do training and keep up to date with the latest technology. So these are some of the challenges, and that gives a brief overview of the IT services at University Malaya. Mr. Yu, do you have anything to add?
For the time being, no. I think we will allow the host to continue with the presentation. Later on in the discussion, if necessary, I will add. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Could everyone mute their sides, please? All of you, so that only the one that speaks that is there. While waiting for John, I have seen UNAM now. UNAM, could you introduce yourself, please?
Hello, everybody. I am Guillermo Rodriguez. I'm the head of the unit of Research, Development, and Innovation within the Direction of Computer Services in UNAM. I apologize for the delay. We thought it was going to be at 9 o'clock our time. And my boss, Dr. Ignacio Anya, will be joining us in a second after he finishes the meeting that he has there.
Thank you very much, Dr. Rodriguez. Rodriguez, is it? Yeah. So thank you for being here today. Eventually, we can meet you. And here with us also at the University of Indonesia, we have, my name is Riri Fitrisari. I'm the head of Information System Development and Services. And with me is Professor Heru Suhartanto from the Faculty of Computer Science. I would like to call Mr. Harris again from Oregon. Oregon, please.
Yes, hello, this is the University of Oregon. This is Jeremy Troublehorn sitting in for Don Harris. We're still awaiting his arrival, and we expect him to be here 7 o'clock local time in the United States here. So we might have... we're calling him in currently, so we're waiting for his arrival.
Okay, then. Probably then I will take turn into showing what is the stage of IT governance in my university. So, well, I'm the chairperson of the Information System Development and Services. We are in charge of maintaining all application and IT infrastructure at the University of Indonesia. Each faculty has their own IT personnel, but we all meet bi-monthly on the ICT Technical Committee meeting. We have a centralized approach for funding and support of many IT services up to faculty level. And our areas of concern cover IT support, computer system, IT security, smart card, disaster recovery center, computer network, technical services, And we also have a division in information system development, which provides continuous improvement and many new applications in-house for our university purposes. And also we have internal and external services division, which is in charge of help desk, electronic data processing for student evaluation, and also new students. We also do support services, web services, and IT training and development. We are trying to have IT technical committee in terms of ensuring the dissemination of updated information to lower level units is being conducted and finding problem solution. Also, currently we have done new IT roadmap and alignment to the university strategic plan so that it is aligned. This month we are implementing ISO 9001-2008 compliance implementation of quality management system, which includes some manuals, quality policy, quality manuals, standard operating procedures, and also ensuring performance indicator measurements is conducted by all members of the team, and also conducting management review on problems and ensuring preventive and corrective action is being implemented. There are some lessons learned in terms of our relationship with other parts of other institutions and offices in the university, in which we learned that new innovation in application and services requires strong support in funding and procurement, because it is a centralized funding and procurement. And also human resource management and preventing staff turnover is one of our major things that we have to look into in the future. And also funding support for hardware and software upgrades and purchases are related very much with other parts of the university. So we have to be aligned with them, and also partnership and collaboration to ensure that we achieve our mission to provide a good standard of academic research and public services can be done by all parties in the university. I think that's all from me. So probably we will start doing our discussion. So I will start calling University of Caltech, please. Caltech is in the first because you are with the C. Please, Mr. Rich Fagan from Caltech.
We have we're very decentralized here, and you could almost use the phrase, you have to follow the money, because the decision making is usually aligned with where the money is. We have 300 tenure track professors, and each one of them is funded through their own research grants, pretty much. So they have that money, and they can spend it in pretty much any way they want. So we have moved to a model where most of the services that they get from us are opt-in. They don't have to use them. So we have to make sure that our services are competitive. They have to pay for a lot of it. And we have to make sure that they don't go somewhere else to get the services, because they certainly have that option. There are certain services that we provide that make sense to do them in a central way that everybody uses, like the network, the wireless network, and a course management system, things like that. But when you get into individual research labs, they can pretty much do computing any way they like. So that's one of the challenges of a very distributed research university. And we do have what we call the Computing Advisory Committee, which is made up primarily of faculty, who is, you could call them my advisory board, or sort of a steering committee that helps to set priorities, and they also advise the university provost on what we should be doing. But I'm very interested to know from the other APRU members if you use any particular methodology for setting priorities, because one of the problems that we face here is we can set out a strategic roadmap, the things that we're going to work on, maybe in sequence, but that's just the opening plan, and what we find is other priorities seem to just appear that weren't in the plan, and they want us to work on them now, and that tends to bump something else that we were working on or planning to work on off the menu, if you will. So we're looking at various ways to be a little more formal in our priority setting. Right now, I would say we're very informal. It's sort of things come up and we have to do them and we move on, but we don't really have a formal framework. And I know there are several out there frameworks for doing that, but I was wondering when we get around to each university just to find out if they use any of them. That's it.
Okay, thank you very much, Rich. So your question to all of us is there anyone having a methodology for setting priorities? If someone can later do that, answer that in their introduction to the university IT governance. So I would like to call UNAM. UNAM, please share something. And later on we will have the discussion. Yes, please, UNAM.
Yes, so we're also in the case that we are very decentralized. For the most part, certain services are provided centralized. We do take care of having a university-wide wireless network. Also, the deployment of the purchases for hardware are administered by our dependency. However, the decision for purchasing is not made by us. We basically, what we do is we make sure that we do follow certain standards for the call for proposals for suppliers of hardware, for instance. We also very much follow certain rules to try to provide services to those who request them in terms of platforms for educations like learning management systems. But we are very far from saying that really we have in place a strong methodology, and I have to be honest with this, for IT governance. We're moving towards that. What we're doing is basically we started by creating a steering committee, a managing board that is comprised by many members of different dependencies in the university. Our challenge is pretty big because we are a university that is huge. We have more than 300,000 students and also over 90 dependencies that we have to be taken care of. So in a sense, most of them have their own IT function, and some of them are stronger in that sense and some of them are weaker. And of course, the weaker ones are the ones that are going to be approaching us most likely for help. But there's a lot of work to do, and we're moving towards that. We're trying to make to create more normative ways that lead to a much better integration of systems and IT governance than what we have now. So the answer if we're following a methodology, the answer is definitely not. We're trying to get to that, but we still have a lot of work to do.
Thank you, Mr. Rodriguez. I would like to call NUS for the third presentation, please. NUS.
Okay, thank you, Bibi. Maybe just to comment on that questions raised by Caltech on the methodologies. I think today in NUS, I would describe as the IT governance is not very mature today. Okay, largely we follow similar model as in University of Indonesia as well as in Malaya. Basically, the governance is very much centralized. Okay. Procurement or most of the decisions are being made centrally. Okay, I guess we are working towards models that can allow us to, one is to try to make the values of the IT to be more visible and to be more aligned with the strategies of the university. Okay, so that's a step that we are doing right now. For example, we intended to establish a few committees to oversee the IT developments as well as the planning on campus. So I guess this probably is one of the steps that we wanted to achieve in order to make the values to be more tangible, or intangible values to be more visible to the university. That's one. Secondly is that I guess when we talk about IT governance, one of the very important components is really the resources. And resources can have two elements here. One is the manpower resources, and the other one is the funding. Okay. I think today manpower resources, we do have our faculty IT staff, and we also have a group of the central IT staff. But our approach here is that the faculty IT staff is still under the payroll of the central departments, like my computer center here. Okay, so that would mean we will be able to manage the staffing of the faculty IT staff, as well as the systems and the plannings they have for the faculties. So in a way, we are trying also to leverage on the faculty IT staff to manage and develop some of the central systems for the campus-wide use. Okay. So I think traditionally, probably there's a concern that faculty systems may be isolated or may be duplicated. So that's why we have adopted this model to have a secondment for our IT staff to the faculties and to support those localized needs. Okay. So that's one of the approach that we have taken. And also we are thinking of establishing a technical committee so that we can engage the users, the faculties better in terms of the technology planning as well as the project rollout. Okay. Just I wonder, one of the questions raised is that a lot of the projects come in only has no planning, and when it comes to be in a very urgent manner. So in that sense, what we hope to achieve is that beginning of the year we will have project call. Okay, meaning to ask submissions from the respective faculties and schools to give all the projects to computer center, and we will assess those projects based on the strategic alignment, based on the cost benefits and all this, and then we have the committees to go through those projects and make decisions and prioritize the projects. So that's another approach we want to take in the coming years, and sort of to try to prioritize the projects, not within computer center, but also bring it to the committee level.
Thank you very much, Tommy, from Singapore. I would like to call Peking University to comment. Professor Huang, please.
我想今天的课题是讲 IT 治理。我想 IT 治理，应该是从3个层面来讲。一个就是说，IT 的在学校的整个管理体系和运行体制，就是说怎么样完善和优化一个学校 IT 的管理体制和运行机制。
So I will, since our topic is about IT governance, so I think I will try to describe the problems we're having here in 3 aspects. The first one is how to construct the organizational structure at the campus level for IT governance.
只有把运行体制和运行机制的问题解决了以后，才能做到整个一个学校来讲，它的 IT 有一个统一的规划和统一的一个标准和政策法规的制定。
It's very important for us to construct our organizational structure at the campus level. Only if we have this structure, we can have a basis for IT planning and to implement all IT-related only if we have that kind of structure can we make each IT-related development success.
第二个层面的问题就是说，在体制和机制运行的状态下，一个就是说 IT 建设的各种资源的整合。
The second important issue is how to integrate different sources under the IT information construction framework.
这里面整合包括IT 建设过程中的人力资源、经费资源、空间资源和设备资源的整合。
The resources including the human resources and including the funding or budget and maybe space-related resources.
只有能够做到这样的话，使得我们 IT 的建设以比较小的投入而获得更大的效益。
Only if we have integrated all these resources can we make a small investment and gain a better result.
我想只有做到这两层意思呢，才能使我们高效的IT 这块领域里面能够做到一种理性、有序、健康以及可持续发展的局面。
If we can do all these things, if we can achieve all these goals I described, then IT development or information development in high school or in universities can develop successfully and sustained. I don't know how to explain that. It can develop for a long time.
我想第三个层面就是技术层面的问题，就是说IT 的安全，在这方面要强一些功夫。
Technically speaking, there is another problem which concerns IT security. This is a major concern in universities.
北京大学这2年应该说在这方面也做了一些工作。学校有一个IT 的领导小组。
Recent years, university actually pays a lot of attention to IT security. There is a special IT committee focusing on IT security.
这个领导小组有一个常设的机构叫做信息化建设与管理办公室。
There is a so-called information development and management office whose responsibility is reviewing the IT security problems of the university.
这个办公室作为一个常设机构，它在协助领导小组制定整个学校的 IT 规划、政策法规和各种标准规范。
This office is also provide advices to board level leaders in IT planning and related rules planning.
同时控制整个学校 IT 经费的分配和使用。
This office is also in charge of controlling the IT budget for the whole university and supervising the usage of this budget.
另外，当然我们还有一个学校的层面的专家委员会，来对我们整个学校的 IT 建设进行一些咨询和一些建议。
At the university level, there is also an expertise committee which will review and giving advices to all the IT construction related issues of the university.
北京大学整体上还是属于一种集中的提供服务的方式，不管是在网络基础设施以及行政管理，还有网络教学和网络资源的建设方面，都是属于一种集中式的为大家提供服务。当然，也有一些少量的IT 服务分散在各个单位和部门。
Generally speaking, the IT governance in Peking University is centralized. This is centralized in network infrastructure developing and university governance and the digital library, including the campus portal development. So all these major aspects of actually the structure is centralized.
但是也还有少量的部分的服务是由各个单位自己来从事，每一个单位都有一个相应的我们叫做IT 主管或另外一个比如说 IT 部。
But of course, there are some decentralized part of the IT infrastructure. Actually, every faculty or every department have its own IT staff. Actually, these IT staffs are closely related to informatization office and the computer center.
Yes, thank you.
That's all. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor Huang, for your sharing of information. I would like to call Monterrey University. Monterrey?
Yes, hello. I would like to share how we are structuring in the IT environment. In Tec de Monterrey, we are about 33 campuses around Mexico. We also have offices outside Mexico and a virtual university. That basically we started, since the foundation of our university, we started on a decentralized environment for IT. And since 2003, we started on centralizing the IT environment. This means that we used to have IT offices, IT directors in the campuses, and we started to centralize all the services from those campuses to one central campus. So we had to build a site for the corporate services, and also we had to just have the team to support those services. So we are about 250 people on the IT centralized services. And what we have in the 33 campuses, what we still have there is the first level service for those local services for students and the faculty and the administrative services. And we also implement a centralized help desk for those centralized services that we give in this one site. But because of this centralization, one of the challenges that we are facing today is that we don't have our people in the first level support doesn't have the knowledge that we would like them to have to give that support. So most of the time, the first level people ask for help to the centralized people. So in the centralized area, we have the people operating and also trying to help and give second level support for the first level. Other challenges that we are facing today is that the rapid growth of the corporate units. So we are not only giving support to the 33 campuses, but we also have a branch university with other 40 campuses and a hospital and the virtual university. So we have several corporate units that are asking for requirements and new projects. So we're in the process of finding a governance model to try to cope with those petitions and set priorities for those petitions because of the IT people is still the same, and the growth of the services and the needs of those units are still growing. So after we end up the centralization of our ERP, that we move from Banner to SAP, and we also have a very rapid growth in our e-learning platform, and that we are using Blackboard in this platform, and we are trying to implement Moodle also. We started on seeing the need of a well-established model of governance. So we are still trying to find and see what works in our environment.
Thank you, Dr. Gonzalez, for sharing us up to the detail of your specification ERP and your e-learning platform. I would like to call University of Hong Kong to comment, please. I'm sorry, I cannot hear your voice.
Oh, sorry.
Okay,
can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. The University of Hong Kong Information Technology Service, PhD, we call the Computer Center, has been serving the university's IT needs at large, basically in the central areas, the networks, the e-learning systems, email systems, ERP application, and so forth. While the university is quite a liberal organization, as suggested by Caltech, department has money, has budget, can set up their own facilities. So, but not everybody has the same amount of resource. So, a bigger and more research funding, they can get more IT people to work on their own. Smaller one, they would depend on the central. So essentially, the ITS provide the centrally facilities that serve all network, Wi-Fi, ERP, e-learning, and so. But departments, they will set up, and the ITS would serve as a coordination and providing some of the information so that they can work in harmony with the central university at large. As long as the IT governance concern, I would say the framework has been there for quite a long while, maybe more than 2 decades. The ITS report to the university senior management through a PVC, a vice chancellor or vice president. But this vice president is not an IT person, and whether he has the interest in that depends on individuals. But it is a kind of bridging of the communication between SNT and ITS. In terms of the consultations and getting advices from the US community, we have a computer committee, and this committee is a Senate committee. Yeah. And every faculty has a members, and this committee generally give advice on what the university needs in the academic arena. And this committee has set up also advisory group, which is called the Information Infrastructure and Services Advisory Group. And this advisory group includes not only those chairmen of the faculty committee, they have the different people, as I said, working in departments, looking after the IT area, so that they can channel the needs and give feedback what the central ITS should be developed and should be enhanced. And so the challenge is, I would say, the primary challenge is the resource. since the resource come from centrals, and we work with some of the departments so as to recover some costs, but they are open to get anybody to acquire this, either from outside or from inside. So it is a kind of competition. So the resource would tie up to the university's mission, alignment of visions, and so it is our work to convince the university management that the IT is important, and more importantly, IT needs resource. We have been successful, I say, in telling the senior management IT is important, and they are considering our work very good. But on the other hand, probably we are still have to do more in convincing that IT need resource, since actually our budget has remained in a slowly declining trend in the past decade. So we have to work more efficiently, and so. But I think it cannot be sustained in covering the expanding use of IT in the institution. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ho, for sharing with us. Now, Dr. Don Harris, the IT Steering Committee of APRU, is already presented in Oregon, in Eugene. I would like to call, hello, Don. Good morning. Would you like to do your presentation, please, and also introduce yourself or whatever? Thank you.
Sure, thank you. It's good to be with you. I was able to join in during part of Tommy's presentation, so I've enjoyed listening to the comments that have been made by different people on the conference up to this point. Let me share some of the things that are going on in Oregon, and along with that line, kind of give you a different take on a way of doing governance. So go ahead and bring up my slides if you could. Can you see that okay, Riri?
Yes, we can see it fine. Thank you.
Okay. So the comments that I wanted to make was on one aspect of governance, and that is what happens when you have a very decentralized environment, as we do here in Oregon, and you need to be able to get people to work together who have different reporting relationships that are not always up to the CIO. If you looked at the organizational structure for the University of Oregon, like a couple of comments that have preceded me, you would see an IT organization that almost mirrors the university organization. That is, that everyone, that's at the vice president level and at the dean level, in some cases even the vice provost level, has an IT organization underneath them. So the CIO really needs to not only take care of the core group, but also help to collaborate projects among these other individuals. Oops. Yeah. So if you looked at the University of Oregon, the central IT organization runs the main administrative applications. Those would be the things like human resources and payroll and student records and that sort of thing. The colleges and schools and administrative units have their own IT groups, and from an FTE count, it would probably be about 1/3 of the IT individuals in the university are in the central organization. About 2/3 are out in the schools and the administrative units. So a very decentralized approach, and that's also true for funding. And so the collaboration is a vital role that the CIO really must play. And that's going to continue on in our process as we introduce a new budget model for the university that puts a lot of the resources outside of the central IT organization. Go ahead. So one of the things that I did when I started here was to take a look at some of the areas where we really needed to develop as an institution. I identified about 10 areas. This was with a lot of input from the university community, looking at things that needed to happen across the institution that were not being provided, common needs. And in some cases, these were things that needed to be led by the central organization, but in other cases, they were really community efforts. And you look at some of these areas that some of you have already commented on. Security was something that I think we were most vulnerable out in some of the units that had their own little IT groups that were not part of the central organization. We didn't have a centralized help desk, and we didn't even have everyone, using the same help desk software. And so, looking through a number of these things, what I chose to do was to take this list as kind of a starting point, and then identify some task force groups that could work on these projects together. The task force groups were basically created with participation from the IT community. We have right now it's about every other month meeting where everyone from the university can come together and share information and work together on projects. So in starting these, basically what I looked to do was to have 2 people chair each committee, and I very deliberately chose one from inside the central IT organization and one from either a school or administrative unit. The thing that was interesting for me was that I did not, when I did this, necessarily know all the individuals that well. So it was a little bit of a risk, hoping that I would put 2 people together that could actually work together. But it was a great way to build that relationship and start to build the trust that was so critical between the central IT organization and the schools, because up to that point there had been a lot of tension between those organizations, and people were not used to working together at all. The membership of these task forces were open to anyone in the IT community. The only rule that I put in place was that you couldn't be a member of more than 2. So I really wanted people to be able to focus on 1 or 2 task force groups that they could actually contribute and provide some work in. And if you were interested, I put the URL at the bottom of this slide that actually goes back. These task force groups started about 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago. So some of this is kind of old information, but it gives you the sense that each task force created their own website where they were able to post what they were doing and kind of have a transparent information flow to the campus. And then the recommendations that the task forces gave basically came to me. I looked to seek ways to incorporate those into the strategic plan for the university. And my interest here was to really not only have them identify things that need to be done, but then really support their recommendations and look for ways that we could actually work those into a work plan that had funding and personnel resources behind them. Some of the recommendations were also incorporated into formal proposals that went to the provost, who is who I report to. That's also the person who controls the budget and resources for the university. And indeed, some of those proposals were funded, and so we're moving forward on some of those initiatives. Again, something very, very unusual even for this institution, that you would have a budget proposal that would come not from a unit but from a group that represented a cross group from the university, and especially from the IT community. And then some of these task force groups kind of made the transition. They got from the point of kind of suggesting an idea to be able to actually put together a project plan and then actually begin to implement some of these things. And so some of the list of 10 that I showed you a couple minutes ago are now actively being deployed at the university. And not only being deployed, but also in the case of the help desk, for example, not only do we have everyone using it, but now that group that kind of first suggested that is now an advisory group. And so we really have services that are being run by this cross-functional team, or a series of cross-functional teams in different ways. We like to do more of this, but I think that there's enough successes that we can feel good about that. I mentioned the help desk. Virtualization is another way, and these are really kind of new ways of us doing business at the university. So we're kind of taking it slow and building on success at this point. And then the last slide just gave you a few lessons learned here, and I think the key here is that those of us who are CIOs have institution-wide perspectives. We're looking after what's best for the entire university. I found it very difficult to get people who are in their individual units to really think from an institutional perspective. They still wanted to just think about what was good for them in their school or their administrative office and not really take a broader perspective of what's best for the university. And that really meant that they needed to learn how to compromise on some of their requests so that everybody could work together in addressing some of these common problems. The budget process I mentioned, our budget process, very similar to a lot of universities. It did not really reward people who partnered together and submitted budgets that crossed division lines. So that was one area that we really needed to be able to work on. I mentioned involving many in the process required that everyone be open to possible outcomes. Again, the challenge I think for us was that some people had predetermined outcomes and they really didn't want to negotiate or look at other things, and so you needed to kind of help them work through that. And then being able to do all that and still have institutional standards was a challenge. So again, trying to get everybody to work cooperatively and yet at the same time do things that really make sense from a budget and from an efficiency perspective for the institution was a challenge, but we were able to work through some of those things. And then I think the last one is most important, and this is the last comment I'll make, and that is that I think that there were just a lot of people who really felt good about doing something together that benefited the whole university. I think those of us who are in central IT and especially in CIO positions feel good about doing things from an institutional perspective. I'm not sure that some of our colleagues in the individual units really get that sense of accomplishment when they're just doing something on a very limited scale. So when they can see and have a success that turns out to be a win-win for everybody, it really, I think, gave them a sense of satisfaction that they really enjoyed. So the rest of the University of Oregon, I think, is like several of the previous speakers in terms of the way in which we do IT, but there are a number of things that relate in this environment that are, because we're in such a decentralized environment, that we need to be able to do things in this collaborative way as well. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Don Harris from Oregon, for your presentation. I would like to call University of Southern California. Ailey, it's your turn.
Okay, thank you. Don, that was an interesting presentation. I agree with you that when individuals can work together to achieve a common goal for the good of the institution, it does tend to energize everyone. At USC, we actually moved from a highly centralized information technology environment in mid-2006, let's say the month of June or July, to a federated, decentralized approach to IT. Now, with the centralized environment, we actually had IT in the library consolidated into one organization. But over time, it became so unwieldy to get things done that it was obvious that something needed to be done. And so we went to a federated environment. Now, what this means is that we pushed back the responsibility for a number of things that was done essentially to the various schools that make up USC. Now, in the process of doing this, however, the committee that really governed this process also decided on a set of centralized facilities that would be, or services that would be maintained. And they included things like telecommunications, for example, all telephone services. It included all of the information systems. Student information system, for example, is centralized. And it included services like email. It included services like web services. And so what I'm going to describe for you today is what was left in the central unit. And it's really quite, it's not quite as small as you may think. Now, the organization centrally has an IT services group, and I have a deputy CIO for information technology services. And this area includes communications and networking, enterprise operations, hardware and facilities, customer support, help desk, student information systems, and project management. Then I have another group that focuses on support for faculty, and that includes technology, and that group is called Technology Enhanced Learning, so I have a deputy CIO for Technology Enhanced Learning. And they take care of learning environments, which really are our labs and our classrooms, web services, learning management systems, and we have a Center for Scholarly Technology. And so they're responsible, again, for providing faculty with support and also for increasing the use of technology in the classroom. In addition to that, we have a high-performance computing center that we manage, and they now are, I think now we're ranked as the 71st largest in the world and the 6th largest university in the country at 72 teraflops. And so this facility provides support for our researchers. And so most of and we only provide support for our researchers. We don't provide support for anyone outside of USC. And so it's done a great deal toward actually facilitating research as well as providing support for research grants. And so this is working very well for us. In addition to that, we have a Visual History Institute. The IT portion of that unit also is a part of our organization. And then we have security and other services as well. But that really is, I think, a good, gives you a good sense for where we are in terms of the central organization. Now, for governance, I have a group of IT leaders that we call a Strategic Technology Forum. And we get together once a month. We'll be getting together this Friday. And what we do is we talk about IT matters that actually affect, the whole university. In addition to that, I have an Academic Senate committee that I work with. And they provide me with feedback, particularly from the perspective of the Academic Senate, or Faculty Senate, and faculty in general. And then we have other committees as well, such as a Committee for High Performance Computing and a Learning Management Systems Committee, and an administrative committee called the Information Council. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Eileen. I would like to call University of Sydney, please.
Hi there, Andrew Cooper here. Let me start a clock up here so I don't talk too long. From our perspective, the CIO reports through, as with many of your organisations, through the Deputy Vice Chancellor and the admin side of the organisation. And again, like many of your organisations, we're quite decentralised. Perhaps where we're different from some is that we're currently going through what's called a shared services initiative, so really trying to bring a lot more of the services and deliver a lot more of the services through central IT. Another part of our strategy is to increase what we call our academic and community focus, so the research, the learning and teaching, and the external relations and community piece. So what I might do, sort of having sort of set that scene, is perhaps talk about how we govern our project investment, which perhaps goes back to some of the stuff that Rich was talking about some time back. In increasing our academic focus, what we found was that we had to really be clear on exactly what it was we were spending for. So were we spending for simply upgrading our network, or were we spending towards a learning and teaching focus or a research focus? So every project we map what it is that we're spending against. As we approach this year, and that we've sort of got to a level of maturity where now we could probably say, or we can say, that 50% of our spend out of central IT is directly towards research or towards learning and teaching. And then as we started to collect the requirements for 2008, but then 2009, we picked up about 5 times as much as what we could do. And perhaps what's interesting then is we figured that in order to report back to the university about what is it that we're going to choose, we had to come up with some sort of prioritisation. For that, we used a model that we picked up from the EdgeCore Centre for Applied Research, which I'm sure some of your universities subscribe to, out of Georgia State University, I think it was. You can go and find that. What was really useful there is it then gave us something to go back and measure in some sort of, I mean, one can hardly call it objective because it's very much being applied by people. But to basically go back and test the sorts of things that we were hearing. Now, the way that works is we say, well, about 50% of what we think we need to spend goes to learning and teaching and research. Based on the sorts of prioritisations we see, we might see 25% of it, say, for instance, needs to go to professional support. And along the way, we've established governance groups for each one of those areas. So it's an ICT governance group, or it's a governance group that ICT is a participant of. So, for example, we have an e-learning governance group, which is chaired by the Deputy Vice-Chancellor of Education, and IT is a significant player on that. When it comes to the expenditure and the prioritisation of projects in that area, that's the group that we go to say, okay, which one of these projects do you want to prioritise? And further, when that group does, as you expect, then say, well, actually, we've found another project that's a high priority, we say to them, fine, let's do it. Now, which one of the projects in the learning and teaching area that you have specified at the moment are you going to take off the list? That has the reaction you would expect, horror. But we've pretty much stuck to that approach. And it's been very successful with this year in terms of getting a nice balanced portfolio of projects. What I might move to just in finishing is just talk to some of the challenges we have. One of the challenges we do have is the lack of an overarching body. We've had quite a bit of discussion about and getting the right balance has been a challenge for us. Any comments about that would be quite useful. We have to, and that group would be very useful where one particular group, say for instance, falls short of its funding, so we could reallocate it. We don't have that. We've also had the challenge that in dealing with Deputy Vice-Chancellors, we needed to have director levels in ICT in order to get the right level of conversation going. And so we've gone through a restructure just recently, along the lines that it sounds like ILE has, which has directors for academic services and professional services in order to really get the right level and the right discussion right. I see my time's just about up, so I might leave it there. Thanks very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Andrew Cooper from University of Sydney. I would like to call Zhejiang University. Zhejiang, please.
大家好，浙江大学05年成立了浙江大学信息化领导小组和专家咨询组，指导全校的信息化工作。
Hi everyone. Zhejiang University established the information leading group and inquiring group of specialists, supervise and direct Zhejiang University's conducting of the informationization.
信息中心这个负责全校的项目建设和技术支持工作，校长办公室负责全校的管理的一些协调工作。
Information Center is responsible for the technical support and presenter office is in charge of the coordination.
我们认为这个高校信息化的这个本质要围绕数据和资源的这个整合和利用。那么做好数据建设，那个提供数据标准的数据，提高教师的办事效率。那么提供资源，那么帮助大家做事有成效。
We think the essence of the informationization is the improve our work efficiency.
我们认为这个学校的信息化的主体是部门、学院，是师生。信息中心呢，只是做好支撑、辅助的一个作用。
We also believe that the majority involved in the campus computing project are the department, schools, and staff and students. The main task of our information center is aid and support the other departments, provide common platform and offer good service.
而且我们认为，只有充分发挥这个主体的作用，才能够把信息化这件事情做好。谢谢。
We believe that we encourage the majority to participate in the informationalization. Can we achieve our goal? Thanks.
Thank you very much, Zhejiang. I would like to call University of Canberra, ya? Apa namanya? Canberra? ANU, will you? Hello, ANU, are you still there?
Just fixing up the microphone. Yeah, just
Okay.
fixing the mic.
Okay, please, Professor Stanton.
Okay, so the ANU shares most of the problems I've heard today, but we put in a system that, or a governance model. So let me start again. We're a college-based university. We've got a centre and 6 major colleges. The IT services, or information services, are divided into domains. It's not a federated model, but it's 3 coordinated domains. There's a services in common domain, and that's the decision rights over the dollars spent in that domain are with the Director of Information Services, Rick Van Heften, who was with me early. He's had to leave. He's had to leave to go to another appointment. So 3 domains. Services in common, which is very similar to a shared services idea. There's a college-centred domain. The decision rights of the dollars there, of course, sit with the Dean of the college. And there's an independence domain, which picks up a fair amount of funding spent by by researchers, grant holders, and so on. There are 3 coordinated domains. The way in which the coordination works is we have planning advisory committees, and we have three of them. One for the information infrastructure, seen in terms of the networks, computing platforms, servers, and so on. One for enterprise systems, and one for scholarly services. Those 3 planning advisory committees sit in the middle of the university, and each of the college has 1 member on each of those committees. So for the enterprise systems, it's the general manager of the college. For the information infrastructure, it's the college head of IT, and for the scholarly services, it's selected academic, selected by the dean, a kind of associate dean. The emphasis is on planning, so each of the colleges brings their plans and proposals, basically budget-oriented in many ways, through to these coordination committees, and that's where we get some level of assurance that colleges will be in a position to know how they can share their resources where the services thereafter are not otherwise services in common. The big difficulty we have, and I guess we all do, is how do dollars follow, how do resources follow where there's a need for additional services in common. So if we look at the trends over time, the trend to move the infrastructure elements out of colleges into the middle and out of the middle into the service sector more generally is very clear. It's clear to all of us, I think. The services that feed innovation at the coalface need to be encouraged, need to be fostered inside colleges, and so the dollars that end up being spent there have to be found in college budgets. At the same time, where we've got an additional services in common need, the university at the top budgeting level needs to balance the university and provide for those additional services in common. So, very briefly, taking that kind of model and asking the question, how well does it work? Well, the big challenges are still to find ways. We can set priorities, but that doesn't deliver dollars necessarily. And so our biggest problem is still balancing the university across those three domains. And that happens in principle within a budget cycle. But in practice, it happens because you've got a problem to solve and you simply have to go and find the monies either from the Vice-Chancellor's special reserve or deans of colleges have to ante up to make things happen. So there's something we feel works okay structurally. Well, I say works okay. There's a view of the governance that feels all right. There are operational dimensions that are anything but all right, and I guess we're all struggling with this business about priorities and fitting our resource base to high priorities that crop up on boundaries that don't correspond to major budget cycles.
Okay, thank you, Professor Stanton. We learned a lot from that. Well, now it's time we have another 5 minutes. I think probably anyone would like to comment or say something or comment or ask question to other CIOs. It's your time, please. Can you just put your hands up if you want to say something now? Anybody would like to comment? Yes, please, Don. Okay, Don. Oregon, please.
You know, one of the things I'm curious about, I've heard several of you make comments that lead me to believe that the central IT organization is indeed providing a lot of academic services, both in terms of research support, but also teaching and learning. And one of the things that we struggle with here, and it is a governance issue because as we seek to make the most efficient use of resources, we're being asked what really is the role of the central IT organization versus the role of the library. And I'm just curious whether, I mean, Eiley had talked a little bit about the history at USC of having the IT organization in the library, but I'm wondering if Eiley or others would like to comment about the current and future role of the library, specifically in providing IT services rather than the central IT organization, or is that something that you've worked out? Thank you.
Thank you, Don. Eiley, please.
Yes. It turns out that when the library was separated from IT at USC, that the library did not retain any IT support facilities to provide to the schools and college and the college. They were all retained within the IT organization. So the library doesn't play a role in that respect at all. Now, most of the support for faculty, however, I should say, is actually provided by the individual units. I think, as is the case that I've heard by and large from all of the presentations I've heard up to this point, we provide support as it relates to classrooms, make sure the classrooms are kept up to date with new technology, and for the various lecture halls, for example, as well. You know, and we also provide some consultation support. We provide the learning management system, but most of the support for faculty is provided by the individual units.
Right. Thank you. One more question, please. Please, yes, Professor Stanton from ANU.
Yeah, Don, it's a very interesting question. There's a perspective on it that has affected the way we run at the ANU. Basically, the library does not any longer, though they used to have their own IT units, does not any longer provide IT services per se. But I'd say where we've ended up has been due to the analysis of, or the need to maintain skills. And so we have a single picture of the HR base, of the people as a community across IT and the library, but and we can move resources that fund people within that combined space. Having said that, the staff in that area live inside organisational units that become wholly IT or wholly library. Services that cut across that skills base include services such as publish my open access documents. What happens there is there's a platform for that to happen, and that's run by IT. There's a service in the back there's a service that picks up in a workflow sense people inside the library who know how to validate publication information, how to link it in with, in our case, the way in which the university records its research output and so on. I'm burning up a bit too much time, but I find it a very interesting,
Your attention, please.
a very interesting question. At the organisational level, the library is quite separate. When you look at services, quite a bit of there are services where the library's contribution and IT's contribution in the back office are equally strong.
Thank you very much. I think we just have a little time now. I would like to call NUS, please. Tommy, would you like to have a final comment?
Thank you, Riri. I think it's a wonderful session here because I can see that the governance model are pretty different between the institutions. Okay, so I don't have the last questions. Maybe I just have Ken to make a comment on these sessions. Okay.
Thanks very much, Tommy. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Ken McGilvray. I'm the Secretary General of APRU. It's great to see a few familiar faces and some not so familiar, which I hope to get to know in the future. This has been a very interesting session for me. Unfortunately, I missed the first one on grid computing, which I understand from Tommy was equally enjoyable and productive. And so I just wanted to say thank you, particularly to you, Riri, and to the University of Indonesia for providing the leadership for this particular session. I hope you found it useful. The other person I want to thank too is Don Harris, who is the chair of the IT Standing Committee. And for those of you who are unfamiliar for that, the IT Standing Committee provides the intellectual leadership for APRU IT initiatives. And what you're seeing is the result of those discussions that we've had over a series of months, and some of you were involved in those processes. And these IT video conference series has been a result of that. So again, thanks to Don. A couple of acknowledgements too. Eiley, I see your face again. I want to thank USC for offering your institution for hosting the combined CIO ERT forum, which will be coming up in May of this year. So we very much appreciate the leadership that USC has provided in this, and we look forward to seeing all our colleagues in person during that particular event. I wish to also acknowledge too UNAM, who was awarded a similar conference, which will be held in 2011. So thank you very much to that institution, and we look very much forward to visiting UNAM in Mexico in 2011. So again, thank you very much for all of you for participation. It's very much appreciated. I've learned a lot today. It's interesting as I listen to some of the thematic threads that run through this. And so I very much appreciate your involvement and your frankness in this initiative. Back to you, Riri. Thanks again.
Thank you very much, Professor Ken McGillivray from APRU Secretariat. And on my side, I would like to thank Jacqueline Heng. I think she is there somewhere. She has been helping a lot with putting everyone together in the same room at the same time. Jacqueline, you want to say a little bit or something, please?
Really, thanks a lot. I just want to thank you for getting everyone together. It was a very enjoyable session, and everyone got to share about the different models. And I hope that you learn something from each other. And just also want to encourage everyone that we'll be taking a short break for December and January, and the next set of technology series, conference series will commence in February, and I believe USC will be hosting the next round of video conference session. So I encourage everyone to sign up early.
All right. I'd like to call again one more time to Don. Don Harris, do you want to say something final about the conclusion of the IT governance, please?
I guess I'd be interested if the members of our group have some examples that might be able to share with us via email. I will identify one is the University of Florida, which has undergone a major review of their IT operations from a campus-wide perspective and have come up with a very different model in terms of really looking at IT university-wide without really much distinction between central, decentral, us, them, those kinds of things, and really position their new CIO to be able to provide an enterprise-wide leadership position. So I will send that out. I'll send that to to Jacqueline, who can make sure that it gets out to the group. But I just would say that if others have other examples of things like this that they'd be willing to share with the group, either from their own institution or from other things that they've seen, that'd be very nice to be able to take a look at. And then I hope that when many of you come to USC in May, that we have an opportunity to have a roundtable and can continue this conversation, as with some of the other conversations that we are having on the video conferences. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Don. And I'm looking forward to meet all of you in California in May. And after talking seriously, if you would like to know that the movie 2012 has been running here in Indonesia, and I hope the one what is there, what they think will happen in 2012 will not happen, because it's just probably Eilish personnel doing some simulation of the end of the world. But for your information, in small city of Indonesia, the film has been banned because it make a nightmare. But anyway, that's only a small thing. Okay, then I'd like to thank everyone, Caltech, UNAM, NUS, Peking, Monterrey, Malaya, Oregon, Hong Kong, USC, Sydney, Zhejiang, and Canberra for participating today. From the University of Indonesia in Jakarta, I would like to thank you all very much and look forward to meeting you in the next session. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.